Right, so free speech, and in this case specifically freedom of the press in Canada, just took another major hit. And I made a video about about this about maybe it was a week ago or so. I don't remember exactly, but the Debates Commission in Canada barred Andrew Lawton, who's a journalist for True North in Canada, from covering the Justin Trudeau campaign. And now the True North News, I believe, is what the outlet is called, run by Candice Malcolm. They have been banned from covering the election, basically, or the debates. And basically, it goes: the Debate Commission and federal government just barred my media company, True North, from covering the debate. Enough is enough. Someone needs to stand up for freedom of the press in this country. Just spoke to our lawyers. We're filing an injunction. See you in court. And it came out, I think it was today, that the government is going to pursue this case. They got a team of lawyers ready to go, so they're not backing down, and it's just another terrible sign of the state of things in Canada. And I already thought it, but I think it's too little, too late. I mean, I hate to break it to people, but I mean, maybe if there's a radical change within the next year or two, but I think Canada is too far gone. I mean, free speech, like I said, it's technically enshrined in the charter, but it's not being held up in any sense of in any way, shape, or form. I mean, just the fact that hate speech laws exist. I mean, hate speech laws can't exist and also have freedom of speech, because hate speech laws is, I mean, there's certain things that are arbitrarily decided to be hate speech, therefore they can't be said. The whole gender pronouns thing is anti-free speech, because the forcing people to use a gender pronoun isn't forcing people to use someone's name, it's forcing them to describe you as something. And that's forcing people to speak. And, free speech is the ability to speak, it's also the ability not to speak. Now, a lot of times people confuse this, is that a lot of people who are anti the whole gender pronouns thing, they're perfectly fine with calling you whatever name you want to be called. But the difference is that if your name is, Joe, when you're going to become a Sally kind of thing, people are fine with that. It's the they, them, he, her, truck, fireman, fire truck, whatever you want to. Arbitrarily deciding something to be your name is kind of the issue with that. But this whole thing with freedom of the press in Canada is that our press is run almost exactly like a North Korean kind of way. The only difference is people don't admit that it's like that, and you're not forced to watch it. I mean, I don't know if you are. I think you are in North Korea, but like, to be an independent media outlet in Canada is almost impossible. Like, I can't. I mean, the Rebel does all right, but I can't think of another one that does good. Like, not one. And there's tons of them in the U.S. I mean, the U.S. free speech is under attack, and like, they're the only country in the world that has free speech. I mean, actual free speech. Like Canada, I mean, like I say, technically we have it in the charter, but given the fact that the courts clearly aren't upholding cases where free speech would prevent people from being prosecuted or sued or whatever, we don't have free speech in Canada, and we don't have freedom of the press either. We don't have freedom of anything. And the problem is, too many people are so misinformed that they don't know this. But I would say the bigger problem is that the people who are aware of this, too many of them are silent on the issue. That's the biggest thing facing politics these days, is the majority of the population is completely asleep when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, when it comes to any big political issue, the majority of the population is completely asleep. Now, that's mostly due to just all the propaganda they've been fed in public schools and on the media, but there's people that understand that what the public schools and the mainstream media has told them is bunk, is BS, but they're not brave enough, they don't have the balls to speak out enough to actually make a difference. They just kind of keep it inside. And if you want things to change, then you have to speak up. It doesn't even have to be to your family or friends. It can be like, put out videos on YouTube, start social media pages, all this kind of stuff, because for everybody that's aware of this kind of stuff that isn't speaking up, even if it's just one person, like, just tell one person, that try and change one person's mind. That's all it takes. And like I said, that's really all it takes. And if this holds up, then this is a major, major landmark case in Canada, because it means that freedom of the press is dead, that the Debates Commission can arbitrarily ban anyone they want from covering the debates. And this isn't some guy with an iPhone that's put out like 3 YouTube videos calling himself a media company. This is an accredited journalism or website. I mean, they have YouTube channel, all this kind of stuff that's been around for, I mean, I've been following them for at least a year. I think they have almost 20,000 followers on YouTube. So they're not massive, but for Canada, 20,000 followers is pretty good. Like you haven't really totally made it, but you're pretty good. And I would venture to guess that, go look at their videos, go to CBC's YouTube channel, take the average video, and I bet you there's not a ton of a difference. I mean, CBC's probably got 2 or 3, I mean, they seem to average about, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 views a video. I bet you CBC doesn't get more than 10 to 20, and considering they have probably over 1 million followers, that goes to say a lot. That technically they should have, 100, 200 times as many views, and I bet you they have maybe 10 times at most on average. So there's not that much of a difference. Not to mention, I bet you they get just as much as your CTVs and your Globals and all those kind of garbage outlets. But basically, the big take-home thing with this is that, number one, for all you people on the left that claim you support free speech, like, you're a special kind of POS in my mind, because you're either too stupid to recognize your own ignorance, or you do recognize it, but you're willing to look the other way because it's your team that's benefiting from this. And that's the other thing that I can't stand about centrists, is that they'll constantly blabber on about, oh, I'm not going to commit to being on one team or the other. And I'm not even really a big right-winger either, but I just recognize the stupidity from most centrists is that, but yet they'll be so reluctant to point this kind of stuff out. That's such a blatant case of people, of tribalism, but yet they don't point it out, and it just really bothers me. So I think this is about it as far as this video goes. I mean, we have the debates in Canada coming up, and it would be nice if they could cover them. And I mean, what this says is that, the only good news to take from this is that the left-wingers and the liberals are extremely worried that they're probably going to get voted out. I think we know it, everyone knows it, but so they have to pull out all the stops. Like, if no one cheats in a game with that they're confident that they're going to win. I guess is when people ask why the difference between the left and the right when it comes to this kind of stuff is when people point out that the social media companies are biased to the left, that the Democrats, they were the ones that cheated in last election, not the Republicans. People ask why, and it's because you only cheat if you're not confident in your ability to win. Like, if you think that you're a better team, whatever, football, hockey, whatever, basketball, and you're, like, I've used this analogy, if you're going to put you put an extra guy on the field or the court or the ice, and the other team doesn't, then all they're saying is that they're willing to ignore or look the other way when the other team's cheating, which means the other team's going to keep cheating. And the left has gotten away with this for so long; they just keep doing it. And not only that, they're gonna test the waters in that they've said, oh, well, we can cheat this amount. Let's see if we can try a little more, and keep trying a little more, and keep trying a little more and more and more. And they're going to keep doing it until people have enough of it. But the problem is that they might keep doing it until the country collapses or goes into a major recession, which is what I think is going to happen. So, yeah, that's about all as far as this video. I could talk forever on this issue, so I'm going to leave it there. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.